Yeah, just because I'd really like to have you get what.
Can I zoom it out too? Okay.
That's my main thing setting it up, is I didn't entirely know where I needed to put everything.
Right.
Because I know you can have a setting that's kind of our show setting that automatically has the keyboard and the CD player in it.
Mm-hmm.
That way, for everybody that's not as familiar, you set it to that, and then they're just
turn it on and go.
Right.
So you've got currently output 1 to be the main left out.
Yes.
Output 2 to be a bus out.
No, it should be the main right. But I didn't see a choice for that.
So you want it to be left, right, and then your auxes coming off?
Yeah, left, right, subwoofer, wedge, and then 4 monitors. Yes.
Okay, so you can do that.
Okay. Like I said, I didn't see a main. Oh, there's a choice right there. And see, I didn't see that at first because like a main left and main right. The
So
subwoofer, the wedges.
All right. So starting from your home screen, as you select, obviously you know it's going to bring up that particular channel.
Right.
It'll show you there what you're looking at.
Right.
If you select your main left and right, okay, that's your main
I
stereo
could not
output.
get the main stereo output to control anything. So it's got to be how I set it up, but it did not control anything. I got all of these to control individually when I had the CD player running, but this, I have yet to have it do anything, and I don't know where I looked and I could not find out where that was.
Well, in your routing screen, so this analog output scrolls down 1 through 16.
Okay.
That's these 16 jacks in the back.
Oh, okay.
1 through 8, 9 through 16 on the bottom.
Okay.
The console will default to 15 and 16 being your main left and right out.
Oh, all right.
So you can either patch it that way, or if you want to use it the way you've got it patched here,
Right.
Are these patched correctly to be your main left, right sub?
Yes.
Then what you can do is scroll up here to your output number 1. You've already got to be
The main left.
main left. Go output number 2, bring this guy back up
To the
to
main
main left, right, and make that main right.
Okay.
And then assign that. So now as you see, output 1 is left, output 2 is right.
Correct.
Now how do you want to run your subwoofer? Do you run that off of an aux, or?
No, normally we would run it with the main master control. I mean individually so I can set the level, but then it all goes out with the house. So yeah, I guess it would be.
Yeah, it was controlled in the rack previously.
So you had a. How was it separated from the main left and right?
I guess it had its own EQ band for just the sub, and then there was the wedges and.
Yeah, I guess it was just on a separate amp, but it was all in with the master. So
Whenever you brought this up, it was in there, but you controlled it separately?
Right. And
How
I was
did you control it
I know.
separately?
I'm trying to remember how I controlled it separately.
I guess
the other.
right on the EQ, right? Wasn't there like a or the decibel level on there that we would bump if we needed more or less sub?
Oh, we had a rack.
Right, in
I'm
the rack.
sorry, we had an
Yeah,
that's-
EQ
yeah.
rack that had each individual, the main left, the main right, the subwoofer, that all went into a small board that went into the main board.
All right, so without the
So the
small
guy
board,
that
it's all
set it
kinda-
up, the way we individually EQ'd and ran a master on those was through a separate, they each had their own little EQ. Yeah, thank you. I was like, there was nothing on the board separate. And then so we controlled it here, which went into 14, which went into our 32. And then we just controlled everything with the master from the 32. So most people didn't deal with the EQ unless we needed to. But this, obviously we're going to have it all coming through this, so you can set it as an aux.
Well, if you set it as an aux, then you can pick which channels go to it.
Okay.
So you'd have like a separate aux bus that you bring up to feed that.
Just
That would
for
give
that.
you independent control of that. That's kind of the rock and roll way.
Right,
way
right,
rock
which
and
we
roll
will
guys
need
mix.
because we do have a lot of upcoming
Right, we're doing the
not
rock
there,
show.
so
Oh.
it shows
They
where
mix
the
subs
sub's
off
gonna
and on.
be. Right,
So
and we also need that same for the wedges because our executive director's big on certain volume levels of our wedges as well. So I need those to run independently that we can control.
all right, let's put it on an auxiliary for now, and then we
Okay.
can work out.
Right.
So then you're going to come to over here. You're going to come to mixed buses, and we'll just choose mixed bus 1.
Okay.
And so that's output number 3. And then output number 4, we can just make mixed bus 2.
Okay. And then the
Actually,
next
let's make
4
output
all
number 4
monitors.
mixed bus 4,
Oh yeah, so it matches that
6.
for me.
7.
That works for
All
me.
right, that way your mixed bus 4 through 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all your outputs 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Perfect.
So that'll keep that straight for you.
Right.
Is the house powered up at the moment?
Yes, I believe I got everything except for. Does somebody want to go check that speaker, the house
the
right
bar.
speaker? I know I got this one.
So you have a keyboard plugged into 16.
Yeah, into 16, and then on aux 4 or whatever channel 4 on this, I have our CD player. So.
Okay. Let me just wait by here for a second.
So I did get that side?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought I saw you.
Well, I remembered going to this one and then somebody saying he was here, so I didn't know if I made it over there and then up or if I just came up the aisle.
Just for reference, I'm just going to plug a music source into 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Maybe we can just confirm that we have our routing doing what we want it to do.
So when you're assigning all of that stuff, it all goes through the routing for the most part.
Right, so you
So
slip-
say I plug in something else, say I plug in an iPad or something else, I would
Mhm.
assign that through the
Well,
routing.
the way it is now, if you're looking at your inputs, so if you're in the routing screen, inputs 1 through 8, see how
Right.
it says local 1 through 8?
Right,
Inputs 9 through 16, local, local, local.
right.
You're pretty much never going to change that
Right, okay.
because you don't have, the reason you have all these other choices are because we have a digital snake stage box option.
Okay.
So you could use a Cat 5 cable,
Right.
run to a stage box up on the
Okay,
stage.
I did read something about that.
And
Okay.
that's when you would choose some of these AES 50 options to
Right.
bring those signals in.
Okay.
Since you're plugging everything directly into the back, you're going to always use
Always
these
use
local
those.
inputs.
Perfect.
Now, again, you're probably never going to want to change it because it just gets confusing, but you could, for instance, have 9 through 16 show up on 1 through 8.
Okay.
Say, well, now why would you? There might be some
Various-
situation where
there
it
are.
makes sense to route stuff, move stuff around the console.
Just like we do with our lighting board.
Since
from time to
right,
time.
and since you can clearly label what this stuff is and put
Right.
little icons in here, you can even take people's pictures and import them. If you
Oh,
want.
that's cool.
Oh, now that's
Because we don't always know their
perfect.
names.
Right. That I didn't know. That's awesome.
So you got all kinds of fun
Okay.
stuff there. But in general, I think you're going to
That's
leave
the standard, right?
these inputs as they are.
Okay. Perfect.
As you scroll through here, there's your output page. This is what we just did to reroute,
Right.
to send the outputs where we wanted them.
Yep.
These auxiliary outs are those 8 1/4" jacks on the back.
Okay.
And again, the same thing, it routes where they come from.
Yep.
P16 out is our Ultranet bus, which gives you 16 channels on a piece of Cat 5 cable,
Okay.
which you can use for a lot of different things. Turbo Sound is a speaker manufacturer that is associated with the music group.
Okay.
And some of their speakers actually have a Cat5 input jack that can be fed
Oh.
directly. So you can just daisy chain Cat5 around.
Right.
Pick off which of those 16 buses you use.
Okay.
This little gadget that I brought along here to show you, which we'll come back to, but this is this little personal monitor mixer.
Okay.
To mix in-ears or mix a wedge mix or something like that. This
Right.
runs on that P16 bus. And so
Okay.
you can choose which 16 channels you send to it.
Nice.
So we'll look at that a little
That's
later
Yeah,
on.
absolutely.
But give you some ideas of it's designed to be a personal monitor, but
Right.
it's got a lot of applications for a wedge control or an offstage monitor control.
Right. Well, and which we were
Very
just
cool.
talking about with the offstage monitor
A lot of
control
other things
for
you
the
can do
bands
with
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's hard in the
So that's
pit.
where all that comes.
All right.
This card out,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
didn't-
built-in card on the back.
Oh, okay.
Comes with it. You'll see it has a USB slot on it.
Right.
The most handy application for that is recording.
Okay.
And as it sits, as you bought it, with that card as standard, it behaves as a basic ASIO device.
Okay.
So to any recording software, be it Pro Tools, if you're in the Macintosh, be it
Cool.
GarageBand, or be it
Right.
whatever you're using, Logic, any of
Mhm.
those, you download the driver free from the music website,
Okay.
and to that software, this looks like a 32 input, 32 output recording device.
Oh, okay.
That's
and you can
wicked
dump
cool.
32 tracks directly to that,
Right.
and play 32 tracks directly back from
You
that.
have to create a
Ooh.
recording rental
Ooh,
schedule. now.
okay.
That's
nice.
with the card
That's
that
what
came
the
with it.
card's
It's
for.
built into it, and that's
Okay.
what card out.
Yeah, because I
Again,
saw the card, but I didn't know what it was.
Here are your options for outputs.
Right.
The local 1 through 32.
Okay.
Basically, that's your direct outs.
Okay.
Routing over to that.
Okay.
And then these AES 50s. Again, that relates to the AES 50 ports. That's the digital
Right.
snake option.
Right.
Right now, you're not going to use it, but
Right.
if you choose
If
to
we
use it in the
ever
future,
get to that point.
then XLR out, that determines what these XLR outputs do.
Right.
They're,
Okay.
again, pretty much always going to stay set
Right.
to the standard 1 through 16, so that what you expect is going out is going
Right.
out.
Right. What we plug in here and
No
it's going there,
surprises.
we
If
know.
for some reason you need to reroute them, you have the option of making them come from somewhere else.
Okay. Awesome.
So let's make this little guy make some noise for us here.
Is that a Behringer product also?
This is not.
Okay. I've never
This
seen
is
that.
this is called a Pono player. This is Neil Young's pet project that he started with Steve Jobs
Okay.
back before Steve
Interesting.
passed away. And then when Mr. Jobs passed away, Apple said, "Yeah, we're not building that silly thing."
Oh, of course.
So,
Yeah.
so Neil Young said, "It's okay. I'll build it on my own."
Very cool. I've never seen or heard of it. I'll have to check it out.
So am I right in understanding that when you select, we also have a manual control over there, plus what we have on here? Like
So
you
you've
can
got
go either way.
lots of controls in lots of places.
Right.
You are absolutely correct.
Okay.
One of the cool things that happens, let's just see if we have audio happening here. So,
Right. See, I could not get the main to do anything. I spent 2 days trying to get that main to do something. And what I discovered also was that even though that was set to the main left here, it wouldn't come up independently. Like, say I ran our music through here, this was my main left, then my main right, then my subwoofer, then my wedges. These two are not active at the moment, but then these were my monitors. And that's, I could not get this to run independently from that. So that was my main left, and then everything else plugged in and assigned went through there. But like I said, I could not get the main to do anything. And I didn't know where to find it.
That's interesting.
oh,
Because this should be the main.
all right. So have you done a lot of programming in this, or if I blow this out and set it back
You
to
blow
factory
it out and
default?
set it back to factory,
Let's
you're
do
good. Okay. No, I did pretty much what you just did and got that far with it and couldn't get, aside from, like I said, channel 20, I think it is, for the CD player, and 16
So that's
for the
going to take
keyboard.
us back to standard. So now, all right, that makes a little more sense. this up here, so there's my left-right coming out there.
Right. And I almost saw it on there, but
So that's what you would
nothing.
expect to see if this goes up and down.
Right.
Now, you're not hearing anything because left and right is defaulted to 15 and 16.
Okay.
We've plugged it in. All of that routing that I did, I just undid.
Okay.
So now I have to
Gotcha.
go back to and redo.
Okay.
No big deal. It will help you to see it again.
Right.
Routing screen. Get back here to out 1 through 16.
Yep.
And then back here to output 1. So you want number 1
Main left.
to be so main left. You want output number 2 to be main right.
Yep.
And we're going to make output 3 the mono center.
Okay.
And I'll show you how we control it independently to deal with your subwoofer.
Okay.
And then output 4 is mix bus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Okay.
and so on. So that's already
Right.
defaulting back to where it was.
Okay.
So now we should get
Okay.
so now you're left right.
Now. Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what was routed where.
Right.
Rather than spend an hour looking for it,
No,
I just said,
the
let's go back
resetting
to-
is
Let's
great.
go back to default.
I love that.
Now we're good.
Okay.
So there's that. You know,
Yep.
behaving just like you expect it to behave.
The routing on that is awesome. Be able to attach things and run cords. And
So then go back home, select 1. So now we have our inputs going to our outputs the way we want them to go. Got our main left right behaving the way we want it to behave.
Yep.
So as you know, you select here and your screen's going to change here. You select channel 1, it'll show you up here whichever channel you're on. Plus you can see the bright green select button showing your inputs.
Right.
You already know you have 2 banks,
Yep.
1 through 16, 17 through 32.
Right.
And then your aux ins, your USB, and your effects. So you have 4 built-in effects engines,
Okay.
and they're stereo engines. That's why you have effects 1 left and right return, 2 left and right return, 3 left and right return, 4 left and right return.
Okay.
So these are the returns. So you know if you send out to a reverb unit, you got to bring it back somewhere, right?
Right.
So you send out, these are where they come back.
Okay.
This is aux 1 through 6 input.
Okay.
That is these 6 tip-ring sleeve jacks down over here.
Okay.
That say aux 1 through
Right.
6. That's a 1/4 inch jack. It's not an XLR.
Right.
So there's no fan. It's not mic. It's standard line level. So from a CD player or from a
Right.
keyboard or whatever you want to plug directly in, that's what these guys are.
Okay.
USB left and right is this guy.
Okay.
What this will allow you to do is take any old USB stick, as long as it's a reasonably modern, fast one, plug it in there and record 2 channels to it.
Okay.
So you could make a rudimentary recording right off your stereo bus of the show that happened.
so cool.
Okay.
And then you can play that back and it shows up here.
And that's what, oh, okay.
And then you bring these guys up.
Yeah, okay.
And you notice these are tagged as a
I
stereo pair.
did see that, yeah.
That's also
Okay.
very cool.
Yeah, because I saw the option to actually do that and combine.
Right, and that
So,
sneaky looks like a little cassette
Little
player.
yeah, nice.
Aren't they clever?
Nice, right?
And that just that brings up the way to get to any of these segments quickly. You'll notice they all have a view button on them.
Right.
You just click the view button,
Yep.
and it's going to bring that section right up on your main screen for you right away.
Yep.
So it makes it really handy to get around.
Right.
Now we're selected on an aux input that doesn't have any dynamics on it. That's why it's blank. If I were selected back up here and view my dynamics, now you see I have a dynamic screen. So I have a compressor
Yep.
here. Same with my gate. Same with my basic input config. So, you know, this sort of, you want to think of your standard console, analog console that had the mic
Right.
trim up
Right.
front, had your phantom power up top,
Yep.
had your phase reverse.
Right.
Well, that's these guys right here.
Okay.
So there's your 48-volt phantom.
Yep.
There's your phase reverse, low cut, and your low cut adjust,
Right.
and then your gain
Okay.
trim here. So we can, you know,
Pretty much anything with the DI, we need the 48.
okay, and which channel? That's in 16?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would have gotten killed when I reset.
Okay.
So select 16,
Right.
turn your 48 back on.
And then-
You had the phase shift on. I don't know if that was
I-
deliberate or somebody maybe bumped it.
No, that might have just been by
You
accident.
wouldn't ordinarily want to flop the polarity on that unless it's out of polarity for some reason.
No.
And of course you'll see a little
Yeah.
indicator
Okay.
here that the 48 volt is on. You will also see a light on the back,
Okay.
which is handy if you're patching stuff around, which you're not going to do often, but
Right.
it's handy to know, oh, there's phantom power on that
On
channel.
that one.
I don't want to plug
From
into
the
that until I
back.
turn it off.
Yeah,
something's
because
gonna
it
go
does,
boom,
it
right?
does pop, yes.
Or I don't want to unplug from that until I turn it off from here because it's going to go boom.
Right, because we have the Unimics as well. I
Mhm.
think we run the 48 volt on those,
Yeah.
or- right?
Okay.
For sure.
So,
Yeah, so you have several areas of visual indication that power is on.
nice.
So the home screen sort of shows you everything
Right.
for any given input select. So you can see the gate, the equalizer, the compressor. You can see input level. You can see if phantom is on, delay, low cut, any of that stuff's on. So if I, for instance, select the low cut, you'll see it show up,
Right,
and you'll hear all the low frequencies go away
right,
because it's a low cut.
right.
So you can see all that config you just talked about. That's this is an interesting thing. You can really get yourself in trouble here.
Okay.
What this will let you do is make the input to this channel come from somewhere else.
Okay.
So I could make that input come from 7 and select 2 and make it come from 8. And now you go, but I'm plugged into 1 and 2. Where's my audio?
Right.
Well, you told it to listen to different
7 and
inputs.
8, right.
Again, you're probably not going to change those, but there might be an odd instance where I don't want to get back here and repatch. I just want
Right.
to tell that stick to look over there.
Right, right.
If
Which
you-
there are going to be a couple circumstances.
There are occasionally
that-
instances where that is handy. That's why it's here.
Okay. All right.
So I want you on 1, and for now I want you on 2.
Right,
So now you can see their signal is back. They're listening to inputs 1 and 2.
right.
But if you need to change it, it's here on the config screen
Okay.
of the individual channels.
Perfect.
And then of course your controls for your gate, dynamics, EQ, sends, and your main outputs.
Yep.
And you'll see this is sending those to main left and right. It is not this fader level. It is a send to the main left and right. They're typically going to default where they are.
Okay.
This is where you can dial those guys into the subwoofer, because I've put the subwoofer on your mono send.
Right.
So if you select channel 1 and say, well, I want a little bit of that in the sub,
Oh,
you
okay.
can turn it on
Turn it on and bring it
and dial some of that into the sub.
up. Okay.
And you'll see it start to send.
Nice.
Same with channel 2, turn it on, dial a little bit of that into the sub,
Okay.
and you'll see exactly how much you've got here.
Yep.
Obviously, it goes dark or lit to show
Right.
you you've selected it, it's on or off.
Yep.
So
Okay.
make those both 23.5 because you can be really precise. And that's pretty much that.
Also very cool being that precise.
Yeah, you can make yourself crazy.
And so now with this main master, I mean, you keep saying left and right, but that controls everything, right?
That's going to be your main left, right, and mono out. So yes, that's going to control these first 3,
Okay. But not the monitors,
not the monitors. It has nothing to do with the monitors for you.
Okay. So if I have any of these up, I would have to bring them down individually? Like say we had monitors 3 and 4 in a mix. Out. This would not take these out.
Correct.
Okay.
Now I'll show you some things that you can use to work with that.
Okay.
So let's go back, we'll look at one.
Because a lot of times we fade stuff, but I need it to fade entirely.
You need to fade out of the monitors.
Right. Because
Okay.
we had 2 separate boards for that. So
Yeah, so the
what we
sound
were
second
doing
person
was
is fading.
So literally we were, you know,
Well, I can make
taking
your life a
down
whole lot
here.
easier.
Okay, that's what I
Make
would
your life a
Great.
whole lot easier. All right, so do you understand equalization, gating, compressors, and all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't need to.
I mean, you can brush on it quick
It's up
for
to you
these
guys.
guys if you
I'm
want.
happy to
Go
walk through
through
it if
it
you
as
like.
long as you're here, if you don't mind.
I mean, a gate, so a gate is often referred to as a noise gate. And basically think of this as a mute button